Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Tenno-Forged, my Warframe build series that focuses on creating entertaining gameplay without sacrificing too much effectiveness. For the very first video in the series, it's only fitting to cover the first Warframe I've ever crafted in this game, Ash. The idea behind this build is to allow for versatile loadout that you can customize freely, while ensuring that no matter what you choose, you always have your Death Machine Bladestorm handy. Let's start off by going through what is mandatory for this build. The Steel Charge Aura. The 60% increased melee damage from this affects your Bladestorm. The Rising Storm Augment. This adds 6 seconds to your melee combo counter at 100% ability duration every time your Bladestorm hits an enemy. Vitality. Ash has such high base health, this is too good to not equip. And lastly, Arcane Fury. The 120% bonus melee damage from this arcane affects your Bladestorm. Continuing with the full build, these are the mods that I personally use, but as long as you have the mandatory gear equipped, you can actually put whatever you want in here. We have Continuity, Constitution, and Narrow-Minded for ability duration, Stretch and Cutting Griff to get our range back, Streamline and Fleeting Expertise to max out our efficiency. Lastly, I use Arcane Trickery. This is because Bladestorm can actually trigger this arcane fairly often, giving us free invisibility, which allows us to cast marks for cheap. Now you might be wondering why we aren't using any power strength mods, which brings us to the last mandatory item for this build. As stated before, we use Steel Charge and Arcane Fury to increase our Bladestorm's damage, but the real damage source is actually the Vanker Prime. This is because the Vanker Prime has a modified melee combo counter, so instead of the normal 50% increase per interval, we get 75% extra damage per interval. This is important because Bladestorm's damage is also affected by the melee combo counter, so using this weapon we can dish out much more damage a lot faster. The build for this is pretty much up to you, but I would recommend attack speed for faster finish animations, Finishing Touch to ensure finishers one-shot enemies, and lastly viral damage, because a viral proc's max HP reduction will allow Bladestorm's slash proc to kill even faster. For your companion I recommend the Kavat because of its damage boosting potential and heals. It can be either the Smita or the Adazar, it doesn't really matter. The important thing is Hunter Recovery. This allows your companion to actually heal you 30% of its damage, which is pretty nice if you have modded it for high damage. In general, it's also pretty nice to have because your cloaking ability can cloak the Cravat, which allows it to survive otherwise sticky situations. The AI right now for the cats is meh, but the heals work fine, and with patch 2.0 coming hopefully soon, this will be even better. So now that we have the build out of the way, I can explain the tech behind this build. A quick side note for your weapon loadout: as long as you have the Vanker Prime equipped, you can choose whatever you want. We start off with Arcanes. So Arcane Fury. The reason this is so good on Ash is because you can effectively have this buff up 100% of the time. And that is because you have a lot of things that can actually trigger it. So apart from your weapon crits, you can also trigger it with the initial damage from your shurikens, as well as the bleed. So if you look closely here, every time they bleed out, it pretty much refreshes the buff 100% of the time. This also works for your Bladestorm. Both the initial Bladestorm attack and the bleeds thereafter can actually trigger this arcane. So you can see that we never run out of Arcane Fury. So since we use the Vanker for the better combo counter, this makes the combo counter the bread and butter of this build. You need to keep this up whenever you can, as long as possible. So to help you with that, we use the Rising Storm Augment. At base duration, 100%, that gives you 6 seconds of extra combo duration. But since we have 204% on this current build, we actually gain 12.4 extra seconds of combo duration. So add on to that a body count mod, which is another 12 seconds, we get 24.4% seconds of combo duration, which means that we don't actually lose it. It's very hard to lose this. And since we already have a better combo counter, this means that we can stack up damage very fast. So just to show you how ridiculous this damage can get, I've built up a 4x combo meter here, which starts around like 130-ish, and the damage will speak for itself. Yeah, so these 115 heavy gunners are just getting melted. We're hitting for around 36k in slash at the initial attack, and then we bleed them for around 60,000 damage, which is completely ridiculous. And yeah, it just gets worse after that, so yeah, this build kind of speaks for itself. At the end of the video for this build series, there will always be some sort of challenge run included. For now I'll stick with a mod survival. 1 hour is the minimum, 2 to 3 hours will be the norm. It depends on how much time I have mostly. For Ash I was planning to do at least 2 hours, but I zoned out and forgot about my combo counter and that tilted me, so I decided 68 minutes is more than enough. This build can however easily do 2 or 3 hours, so don't be afraid to try it. And yeah, that's about it for the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time.
Life support has been replenished. Life support incoming.